this meeting of the Sheffield Board of Selectmen to order for Monday, March the 3rd, 2025. First item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 22nd, 2025, January 27th, 2025, January 30th, 2025, and February 3rd.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as reported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, we're going to move you right up to number 2.
Are you sure?
I'm sure,
Okay.
because it's not fair to leave you sitting here all night long.
Sorry,
That's all
I'll
right.
check the agenda for that.
Today. I'll make this quick and speedy for us, but I do have handouts tonight.
Ooh.
So what you see here is kind of our final budget by project. There's no identifying information on this sheet.
Thank you.
We've only seen the blue one.
There you go, yeah.
So let me just announce that Brett's here from Berkshire Regional to
Oh, yes.
give us an update on our housing rehabilitation program grant. That way
Yes.
everybody knows what you're talking
Does not
about.
everybody know me yet? Yeah.
Well, you never know out there in TV land, it could be
Yeah,
somebody
that's
new.
So you see here, this is a breakdown by project of what we spent so far. The project number are just identifying numbers for each project that we give. The kind of pale color there are contracts that are pending. We're just waiting on a few more pieces of those to be submitted. We are going to be about 14 projects complete. You'll see that one gray line there.
Yep.
We spent money on a lead inspection for a home, and it came back and there was so much lead. Everybody just decided, you know what? Here's your lead report. We're gonna go the other way. And it is a historic home. It was gonna be really, really expensive to do anything on it. So we, the
We're
home,
gonna leave the lead right there.
yeah, for the moment, yes, for the moment. And so you see down at the bottom, I get contract cost, total committed cost is at $783,000. That's $43,304.50 over what the grant was for.
Ouch.
But we have program income from the town that we're putting into this. How we're going to do that is we need to amend the grants contracts, and we're working with the state to start that process. So I'll get in contact with you as we get going here. But basically, we've zeroed out the budget. We have entered agreements with homeowners that they'll pay a portion of a project to make our line items zero there. Some points of interest right now, as of today, we've only actually paid out about 27% of the grant, even though most of it is in contracts. That's because we've had a rough winter and not much has been going on. We've had a few septic tanks that are just kind of waiting to be installed and so forth. And then that last kind of box there, average per house, actually remarkably close to our goal, $52,886. Our median per house, $51,274. We're on track. I'm happy with where we are. You'll see kind of the stats there. The smallest project was $12,800. The largest project was $99,000. We're getting let out in almost every single one of these homes. We're doing multiple septic tanks, multiple roofs. And it's been a successful project so far. I hope the winter breaks soon so we can get this money spent down by June 30th. But I think
It's mud season, it's not far behind.
yeah, I know. Gosh, I think this is my first mud season officially in the Berkshires. So I found the right boots and.
Well, I should have taken you on a ride with me, because I was hubcap high in somebody's driveway the other day.
Yeah. So do you have any, and you'll notice too, the lien filing, it does cost us $105 to file a lien at the Registry of Deeds at the end of the project that just says if they move or transfer outside of a certain contractual bound, they owe the town back so much money, which is where that $43,000 comes from.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for me at this point, or anybody in the crowd about the financial side of this?
No, I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
It's really wonderful. I remember when we first started these projects that like the maximum we could spend on a house was $15,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That couldn't get us far today, could it?
No, it sure wouldn't.
And if it tells you anything, next year, well, the ones we're running right now, 24, fiscal year 24, 7,000 is the max per house. So this has really changed the game. I will say I will miss the soils of Sheffield. They're much cheaper to do septic on than the places that I'm going to now. Beckett's a whole different ball game. But yeah, so happy where we're at. If you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. This is kind of our official last, this was published in the paper, last kind of halfway mark, if you will, official report out. But we'll keep it on the calendar. I'll probably show back up in May to kind of show, hopefully that 27% number will be much higher at that point.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? You guys are?
No,
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a discussion and update on bridge inspection reports. Selectman Battalla thought it was a very good idea to start looking at these reports. So Londa's going to give us an update.
So we have 3 bridge reports. Now these were all inspected in June, but we have just gotten the reports in February. So the first one is for Lime Kiln Road, which we've been working on for several years. If you'll remember, that's the one that we had all engineered, and then we had to re-engineer it because the state had required some additional information. So that's engineered, designed, and ready to go. We just need $2.6 million to do the project. So that's our stumbling block on that one. So future discussions on what we're going to do over there, but we have to have those discussions sooner rather than later. The other 2 bridge inspections is one is for Kelsey Road, and the state is going to pay for that one. And that is going to be, a public hearing is going to be held on March 20th with the 25% design. It'll be a virtual hearing. We'll have it posted all over how people can join that meeting, but that'll get that project started. The second one is the county road, the restricted bridge now. We are now in the process of waiting for the final okay from the state, but we're getting ready to go after the easements that we'll need to get from abutting properties. So that project will be happening within the next year.
Thank you. Any questions? George, please come to the microphone.
Down.
Yeah, George O'Lane. Could you give me the dates on that Kelsey Road Bridge hearing?
March 20th.
20th? What time?
I think it's 6 or 6:30, George, but we'll be posting it and sending an email blast out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Pat?
That sounds so disappointing. Pat Levine, 261 East Main Street. I just have a broader question about the bridges. I understand that in the eastern part of the state, there's more state coverage of the cost of bridge repair than in Berkshire County. A, is that correct? And B, is there a way of correcting it such that we do get more state support for these than currently?
I don't think it's so much that they get more money, it's the bridges in the eastern part of the state are owned by the state.
No, that's what I meant.
Right. Here they're owned by the town, so I don't know how you would even go about, we brought
Sell them to the state.
Have I got a bridge for you?
That might be a bridge too far.
Yeah. It's an excellent question. There is no answer. I don't even know when, how that came about.
It all sounds pretty mysterious when you ask
Yeah,
people.
well, you do know that Boston thinks that Western Mass stops at Springfield, and I do think that if we had county government working for us in this area, it could be helpful. But, we got rid of county government. I don't know, how long ago did we get rid of county government? A long time ago. We were just kids.
Hang on.
So that's how long ago it was. I still had dark hair back then.
40 years ago.
40 years ago, yeah.
They're
So,
gonna do away with all,
yeah,
but they just got rid of Berkshire and Burke.
yeah. So, gotta love Massachusetts. Okay, the next item up for discussion is the memorandum of understanding for tobacco inspections. I'm sure Pat would like to guide us on what this is all about.
Right. As you know, thank you. The Board of Health has responsibility for enforcing state regulations regarding the sale of tobacco. And there's a whole slew of regulations having to do with what kind of tobacco can be sold, what kind of other implements along with tobacco, etc. We have never done anything in my tenure on the board, both as chair and previously, done anything about inspecting for compliance with the state regulations on tobacco sale. And there is a regional tobacco inspection program that we chose some 8 years ago not to participate in. It would have been at no cost to us. It's a very active program. Many of our surrounding towns are part of that program. And in the meantime, the Massachusetts MHOA, Massachusetts Health Officers Association, got a grant to provide inspection services, tobacco establishment inspection services, to those towns that are not part of these regional agreements and have inspectors through those regional agreements. There is one that is held by Tri-Town and serves our whole area, but not us, and not some others as well. So there's a grant now available that would give us the option of having our 3 tobacco sales establishments inspected. At, again, no cost to the town. This would be an agreement for a year, possibly would be renewed if the grant is renewed for a second year, by which time we think the state grant for the regional inspection services will open up again. And at that point, we could join that and solve the problem. We also are able, whether we join this project or not, to take advantage of a lot of online training for boards of health regarding the enforcement of the regulations. So what I would like to do, and what you have, I think, in front of you, is the Memorandum of Understanding as drafted by the Massachusetts Health Officers Association. That would... There are 4 parts to it. We also would have to vote in the Board of Health to grant the agent the right to do the inspections on our behalf. All follow-up, all after action would be completely at the discretion of the Board of Health. It would not be independently done. It wouldn't be done at all unless we requested any follow-up action. Excuse me, and we would have help with drafting cease and desist letters or whatever. Keep in mind that we've done a very active education process over the course of the last 12 months through the Southern Collaborative, Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative, too many words, and have found no problems in our own review of those establishments. So we've already done sort of a due diligence on what's happening there. This would just be an official inspection and getting a real look at what's happening. They would send both an inspector and an underage individual trying to buy, a trained underage individual trying to buy tobacco, which is, of course, illegal. The Board of Health has looked at this briefly, is in favor of finally being able to execute those responsibilities that it has. And so whether there may be things in the MOU that would need to be altered, I'm not sure. I know Rhonda's had it for a few days to review that. But again, I want to emphasize no cost to us. This would be a one-time inspection. There are 3 other towns in this Southern Berkshire who have been offered this same opportunity. They would like us all to be able to say yes or no in a relatively short time so that they could then send one inspector to do all of those. The other towns, New Marlborough, I think, is one. I can't remember exactly the others. They each have 1 establishment. We have 3. So they would send 1 inspector, 1 underage person. They would do it all in one day and be done with it. They would then give us a report on those inspections, and we would decide what, if any, action we would take to follow up.
And this is a little more complicated nowadays, and the tobacco products are more complex, right? Because of vaping and flavored tobacco.
Exactly.
So it's really not just about, oh, is somebody selling a package of cigarettes?
Right.
Which is
right.
like sort of my childhood vision of it.
Yeah, the display of them, how accessible they are, et cetera, is all part of the regulations now.
So my first question on this is, why is Jason the municipality contact? He's not really a
That was, no,
official.
he's not. That was, we had a 4 or 5-way Zoom meeting, and somehow the individual who was presenting, who's sort of the program officer for this at MOH, stuck his name in there. But yes, no, it is not the correct.
So you're open to having that changed to maybe the office?
Absolutely, yes, and
the
Jason.
Board of Health office or something?
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on this in the audience? No? Pat, would you give the microphone? There's a gentleman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please identify yourself.
Patrick Silk, 107 Main Street. I'm just wondering how this will be any different from inspections that already happen now. And
They don't. They're
They-
food inspections, but they're
Yeah.
for tobacco.
they come in to check our cigarettes randomly, the state does. They can come behind the counter. They ask if we have any menthols, anything that we're not licensed to sell, like certain cigars, you need to have something to sell it for. And then they can look at all of our tax stamps at the bottom of our cigarettes and ask for our invoice for when we paid for them, make sure we're actually buying them from a licensed retailer. So I don't
They
really,
actually scan every pack of cigarettes.
I don't really get like the true benefit of doing this. Like you said, vapes are very different. We don't sell vapes or even chewing tobacco. We have 3 rows of cigarettes, so I was just wondering like the true benefit of it.
So
Besides like sending,
when was the state last there, Pat?
I'd have to look because we have paperwork from it. They come in, they ask, yeah.
Randomly.
It's really randomly and they don't tell you when, obviously.
That's very curious to me. 'Cause-
I'm very curious.
Yeah,
We don't get any reports.
Do you know their names? Do you know the names?
I don't have it. I have paperwork at the store. I should have brought it honestly,
Is
but
it Tri-Town?
I don't know.
We don't get any of that reporting, so I don't know anything about
I
it.
just wonder if it's Tri-Town doing it or if it
No.
really is someone from the state. No, it's the state. Yeah, they come in carrying the state badge.
They
they have a badge.
They have
They come in
paperwork.
and scan all the cigarettes.
They scan every pack of cigarettes.
They even asked, last time they were in, they asked for like the last 2 or 3 invoices to make sure that our cigarettes were bought from who we say we get cigarettes from.
Yeah, that you're not running over the border.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Clearly, that doesn't register as being our execution of responsibilities, which this would. So it would be a one-time thing done in the next month, I think, depending on when we sign this.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to find out who,
And why we
I'm
don't.
guessing that's
Yeah,
more
why?
of
Because
like
it should any
the
inspections
fire
that come to the Board
tobacco,
of Health.
what is it, Bureau, making sure.
Yeah.
I think that's probably more on a higher level at the state, making sure that you're getting your product from the appropriate places. Do they look at your signage and comment on that?
Yeah,
kind of stuff
it was
as well?
signage. They made sure we had like the must be 21 stickers.
Yep.
Cheapest and most expensive cigarette, so on. Bunch of
It'd be
other
interesting if
information.
you could just forward over maybe a copy
Yeah, we'll have to look.
of the last one that you
I
had.
would just like
I want to
to,
say it was over last summer, not to cut you guys off.
That would be great if we
Yeah.
could see that.
Yeah,
And I think he comes to us and.
I think he does. I don't think it's
You know?
just us.
well, he's
Yeah.
coming to town, there's only,
Just
yeah,
comes in with his badge, a piece of
Yeah.
paper, he comes behind the counter, you know what he's doing. Like,
yeah.
so it's, it's kind of
For
ironic.
taxing, for taxes to make sure you're collecting it.
Yeah.
So I guess the difference between what the Board of Health is asking us for and what the Silks have just shared is this would be our own responsibility, meaning the town's responsibility to make sure that no underage cigarettes are being sold. Have you had enough time to review it?
I'd like to have at least another day to
Okay.
go over it.
So we're going to table this. Pat, do you have a deadline you need to have this by?
They're trying to coordinate all three towns, and so we're all sort of dancing around each other. No, there's no firm deadline.
Okay, so maybe we can take this up at either our next meeting or if we have room. I know we don't have room on this week's working meeting
Okay.
for anything more, but
I'm sorry, I just have one other question. Is this part of the Tri-Town Board of Health?
No,
No, so this is in addition to,
we are not part of their inspection service.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it doesn't matter, I'm just wondering, curious.
No, we would be if we joined them in another 2 years, but at this time, we are not.
Because we do get information from the Tri-Town Board of Health.
Right, and they're the ones who did the education process in the last year.
So I'm just wondering if this is part of that or this is in addition to?
This is separate from that.
So in addition
One-time
to?
education effort, and this would be a one-time inspection effort.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for coming. Okay, so we'll take this up as soon as we all have a chance to really digest it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to see you.
Jim.
Okay, item number 4 is discussion and possible action regarding the transit assessments for FY26. I think these are outrageous. And I'm very frustrated that the answer to the question of could we get more specifics on ridership was said, no, they don't keep statistics on ridership, and that there's some privacy issues. I can tell you that no driver leaves the senior center without knowing who they're going to go pick up. And so what I'm trying to find out, and I think we should have Tate come and talk to us about this, is do we have one rider riding 20 times a month, or do we have 20 different riders?
And we don't need to my mind, we don't need to know the identity of
We
this
do not.
people. We just need to know the number of unique users.
That is
and
correct.
how much.
That is correct, because one of the things that I'm thinking about here is rather than give the town of Great Barrington 25,000 that they're asking for from
Up
us?
from 10.
Yeah,
to
up from
25.
10 to 25. We've got that wonderful Toyota van at the senior center that's not used every day. And if the volume of riders is evenings and weekends, then I'm wondering if we can hire someone part-time for less than $25,000 a year and use our own vehicle. I don't know, because I don't know what the ridership scenario looks like, but I know that when we evaluated in 2012 to remove ourselves from Southern Berkshire Elderly Transportation, I was able to tease out how many people were from Sheffield were riding, and that the cost was running about $26 per person to drive from Sheffield to Great Barrington. And I see this just as an ever-increasing issue. He's estimating that ridership is going to continue to drive up, to go up, which means next year they're going to ask for even more than 25,000. I just think that we should explore whether or not there's another option.
I agree. 150% increase is quite a large sum of money. We're going from 10, the ask is from 10,000, which we agreed to 25,000, which.
And they can't give us any data to support.
I think the real point first is to get data.
Yes.
What are the unique users? I mean, one of the questions I have, are these just rides originating from Sheffield? Are these rides coming into Sheffield?
We need
Are
some.
they residents, right? I mean, are we serving somebody that it makes sense?
Yeah.
I mean, the complication in this region is that there's not Uber and cab service right now.
Yeah,
But
and that we don't have public.
$26 a ride, maybe there would be. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. So Rhonda, could we ask Tate maybe to come to our working meeting next week? And maybe we can put together a list of questions that we would like answered before we're willing to entertain this request. I mean, I certainly want to provide transportation. We don't have public transportation down here. If there's a need, and Lord knows I was able to do that for the senior center for a lot less money than what we were paying.
Just like to make sure that we justify the
Yes,
increase,
that's
because it
how-
is a sizable increase.
It is.
Well, and maybe have an understanding, because if you look at the paperwork that we received, the numbers are already above that, so
Exactly.
it looks like the next year would be 3 times that amount.
Yeah,
So that's,
and how do you even project that?
well, already in the first quarter of this year, I think
Right.
that there.
How does it go up over 100 from one month to the next? Something.
The numbers are not making sense to me. They really are not. Okay, so we'll get Tate to come and talk with us and try to get some more detailed information. Now we get to deal with the most fun thing we get to do every year, and that's pick the town report cover. So, we have this beautiful flower.
It's upside down, that's Aqualucia canadensis.
I would just
Oh
call it
dear
honeysuckle.
Lord. Okay, and then we have,
Not that I have a favorite either.
and then we have this pretty bug. And I think this is a pheasant or a grouse or
No, not bobolink, killdeer.
killdeer. Very rare, we don't see
Nesting.
those very often.
You don't?
And here's Bambi complete with
I
spots.
don't think it's just see a deer person.
And then we have the gaggle of turkeys, and then we have Tom. This one's my favorite. And then we have the blue heron. I love him too. So we know this one's your favorite, right? Am I?
No, I wasn't saying that at all, I was just
Oh.
identifying.
You're so knowledgeable, Lee. I
Um,
guess anybody that worked for a seed company would know flowers.
yeah.
Bob, do you have a preference?
Oh, I kind of like Bambi
Me too.
and the turkey, Tom. Not that I'm gender biased, but, you know, I like Tom
Well-
better than the hens.
If you put one on the front and one on the back, you'd
Well-
have them both.
Well, there, you'd have both gender.
You know what might work nicely about that is I mentioned there's a lot of graphics that need to be fit onto this cover, right? A title, or is it just the title?
Yeah, so the deer could be
So
at the
one of the
bottom,
simpler screens is probably,
and then Tom could take up the whole back cover.
oh, you don't want to have the Tom and then
You want it to be an all-turkey event?
this budget is a turkey this year. We should think about what we're stating here, I guess.
Remember, we're live.
I don't care that we're live. We're live every time they show us, whether we're dead or not. Okay, so I'll leave it to the gentleman. You really want to do turkey front and back?
That's a lot of turkey.
It is more turkey than I
I'm
want.
afraid if we put the deer on the back and people get a report, they might pull out their gun to scare them.
Well, I was thinking the deer could go on the front and Tom could go on the back.
I concede to the two of you because I don't really.
How do you feel?
That works for me.
Okay, Bambi on the front and Tom Turkey on the back. There we go.
I think it makes sense for it to be the decision of the outgoing.
There you go.
sort of split.
Thank you so much for, placating me. Update on the town administrator position. Well, we've interviewed 4 people. And I guess
You
we're,
have to decide who's coming, if anyone, for a second round, and when. And you have not discussed that yet at this.
and do we have to do that tonight?
It's just an update on where we are, so
Okay,
it's not
good.
like we're not.
Yeah, so we have to decide if we're gonna invite anybody back, so you guys need to think about who we're gonna invite back, if anyone. And if we're not gonna invite anyone back, what the next step is going to be.
Publicly, we've interviewed 3 people, although I guess both of them are since our last meeting. 3 people the week before last, and then 1 person last.
Yep. Okay, so that's the update on the town administrator. Update on the highway garage. Rhonda, would you mind doing this one?
So we've had a lot of meetings, a lot of looking at drawings, where things are gonna fit. The meeting that we had last week dealt with phase 2 because there should be some advantage probably to bidding the renovation and the construction of the new garage all in one bid. You might, contractors might be more apt to give a better price if they were coming. So the board will be meeting with the highway superintendent this week to just sit down and hash everything out on what really we need, what things you may want to change on the plans and the cost for the renovation, and how to move forward with the second building.
And then hopefully we're meeting bi-weekly with CMS
Yeah.
CMS in the months ahead to sort of get everything on schedule. But we're probably not able to get this to town
For May,
the
No.
May town meeting, so it'll probably be a
be
special.
sometime in the summer, or, late spring, summer.
Project that just drags on and on and on. Okay, item number 8 is discussion and possible action on zoning change to the commercial district. So I had a phone call from a realtor over the weekend asking about the Berkshire GMC building and the zoning, wondering if we could consider expanding the usage for that building. So in discussing this with Rhonda, her suggestion was perhaps under the commercial column, which is the red column in your table of use, if under construction, under general business use, number 2, if the commercial district went from a no to a planning board decision, it would then be something that the planning board could put some restrictions and limitations on to be able to expand the usage of this building. And so I was hoping that we might discuss whether or not that's something that we would be willing to take on and send to planning board for their approval.
I think it makes sense personally.
Questions, concerns?
I think it makes sense to go to planning board. I do think we want to think a little bit about what restrictions they can put on it that make it. I mean, 7 is our people's trip through Sheffield and what they see of our town. So is there some way of defining this as not looking,
Like everything else in that strip?
which I would actually argue exactly to that point.
It's the commercial area, lady. Yeah.
I don't see a lot of difference between commercial and general business. Maybe there was a time where there was a large difference. These days, they kind of blend in and go together. But we're not suggesting to make it by right.
No.
It would be up to planning board
Yeah,
discretion.
and what we
So
have seen from the planning board in the past, solar arrays where plants were required, same with Dollar General, green space, trees, bushes, those kinds of things, to sort of soften, the look of it. So, I do think that it's worth having the planning board take a view of this, because I did learn that right now, the only thing that can really go into that building by right is adult entertainment. It's the only place in town where adult entertainment, and you have to have that available by state requirement. So I would much rather see something else than an adult entertainment in that particular location. But, that's what our overlay says. So I'll make a motion that we take this on and suggest to the planning board that they make this table of use change. You willing to?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll say,
Okay,
I feel like I need more change.
okay. Abstain. Thank you very much. Board member items. Bob?
I'm good.
So the best of my knowledge, I am too.
You want to? Excellent. Me as well. Rhonda, you got anything extra for us?
I don't.
You don't? Public comments. Anybody else want to chat with us tonight? George?
I'm just curious, are any of these candidates for the town administrator's position? I assume they're all from out of town.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they are.
Are they planning on moving in and becoming residents of the town of Sheffield? Or is it just going to be a 9-to-5 job?
I don't think we've gotten that far.
We really haven't
In the
gotten
interview
that far.
process.
We did ask, we did
And we're not allowed to
Residents.
give out restrictions to people anyway.
and there is no restriction that they have to live in the town of Sheffield to be a town administrator. I've actually found it to be very useful that our town administrator doesn't have a stake in the community because she can be very objective and has been. But no, there's no requirement for the town administrator to live in our town.
Just curious.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.